Hey everyone, it's Harry the Soul Coach, and today I'm going to be sharing a video which I feel is going to become really important for this year. This video is going to be all on Donald Trump, and this is for everyone that has been paying attention to what has been going on over the years, and we're starting to see this come into the mainstream. If you're still watching this after hearing the name Donald Trump and it has triggered you, the first thing I'm going to say is welcome, and I encourage you to watch this. If you are getting triggered with that name, then there's some certain things you're going to have to work on. Because if you're holding on and getting angry with Donald Trump, this year is going to be a real bumpy ride for you. Donald Trump has been fighting for all of our freedoms, and I really encourage people pay attention to your ego. And your ego is also the thing that's creating all those feelings that take place within the body. So any tensions, any triggers, really have to work on this now. We're in a spiritual war, and it's starting to now be presented to us what has been going on. And people that have been following my page, this YouTube channel has a whole selection of topics. A soul coach, which is a label. However, if you have been following me for the last 3 years, Donald Trump has been a big topic that I've been pushing out this information because it is important. It's been met with so much resistance over time. And a lot of people that are watching this, you've seen that there's a lot of shifts taking place now. And for each person individually, you can be honest and say that you've learned a lot more about what is going on. For people that are still watching that find this hard to accept, I'm going to present it so much that you're not going to be able to argue with it. All the points that you hear when it comes to Donald Trump, it's a predictive programming, it's a brainwashing, it's a repeated behavior which is on a loop. And all the same points and all the same arguments all come from mainstream media, all come from the beliefs from other people. Why am I doing this video now? Because people that have chosen to pay attention to what is going on in the world, you're going to be met with a lot of resistance. It's been interesting over the last few years with all the developments that have been going on since 2020. However, now it's starting to make its way into everyone's lives. And if we're not paying attention to what is going on, it's going to be really tough because this is about exposing every bit of darkness, every bit of evil, every bit of corruption, every bit of crime. And it's not now information. It's not now things that are being shown to us on the TV. It's getting to the stage where it is going to be our lives. And we're going to start finding out some really shocking truths, things that none of us are aware of at the moment. And we have to be prepared for it. So something like this, where there's all there is truth. All there is evidence and facts. And all there is now experience that we've all had, is to be able to stand on it. You have to realize that many people that have chosen not to look and are stuck in the system, are carrying on with their lives, are hustling, grinding, they're debt slaves, but they're in fear. Unconscious behaviors, so being unaware of what is going on in the world, is fear. It cannot be anything else. Anyone that tries arguing with these topics, and they will, because it is all about opinions, that would be a fear state. And it's dealing with the emotions and the angers that come with it. When it comes to Trump, there's a lot of anger. And what happens is when logic, you can't get past that, it goes personal. So for everyone on here now, it's about standing on our truth. We're in the end of this spiritual war. We've gone on this battle, this journey, this education, life lesson for us. It's an awakening, the great awakening. And we're at this stage now, it's all about protecting our energy because, again, these are loved ones. These are people closest to us. These are people that we don't even know, but we want them to wake up because the world that we're heading into is going to be magical. And I continue to say that, and I'm continuing to share loads of different things to highlight what that looks like. Our lives completely change. The reality as we know it transforms. However, this is the next part, is that these people in fear, they're going to need help. And help comes from being calm. Help is the way that we deliver our message with clarity. Help now is easy to be able to say, there you go, have a look at this. And the way that I wanted to pitch this today was any arguments that come your way, it's not about getting into that argument. Remember, you are in your truth. You can back it up tenfold, a hundredfold. So this is where we can start really working on our self-development, our soul development, how we engage in this, because this is really going to show you how far you have come, how much growth has taken place, and also these skills will transform all the other people's lives going forward because instant changes take place. They're knowings, you'll notice it. And it's something that we can continue working on. The hardest thing is when you are doing things because you care. You care about these people, you care about the world, you care about what is going on. And people don't accept it. People go nasty, people go personal, and that is hard. And we react and we snap back. So, the key thing to all this is the questions. Remember, when you're in a truth, it's not about you needing to justify yourself. This topic and how much information has come out since and what has been taking place, it's very easy to just ask questions because there is no answers to come back with if you're coming from a negative state. None at all. If people are getting angry, the first thing, this is how I'd address it straight away. If Trump comes up and they get angry, the first thing calmly, and this is where you work on, just go inside your body first and bring awareness to your feelings. Anytime people challenge you, the first thing that you notice when you are aware is there is a rush of this energy inside, and sometimes we lay it out. And this is a work in progress. And again, this topic is so perfect to work on because it's the same things. The arguments are the same, the comments are so repeated, the triggers are from the same things. And also the way that we present it is very easy, it's factual. You can go from one topic to a next, and it is quite quick. So I'm going to present loads of different videos as well, so you can use this as a resource for questions. And you hold the space when you ask questions. So when you ask a question, it means they have to come back with an answer. With this topic, usually if they cannot answer, it comes with fear. Anything that's not from this calm state. You can see the body language, you see the face, you see the agitation, that's fear. So you expect that and anticipate that. And the first thing you've got to realize is when it comes to truth, it's only two things. Again, I mentioned it in the video the other day. It's love or fear. When it comes to truth, we're in the truth. We don't have to enter their fear space. So if they're not willing to engage with you calm, it's end of conversation. So you can even say, before we start, I'm going to show you before we start any emotions, I'm out. Or when you're getting into the conversation and they start getting agitated, rather than trying to defend that and argue from that point, you just say, look at your energy now. Why have you gone like that for? Ugh. But look at your energy. I'm showing you things that are happening now. I'm showing you that the world is changing. I'm showing you Donald Trump has been a big part of all of that. They may not want to, but it's your non-reaction to their emotions which will stay with them, and they'll realize that they did overreact. And when they're ready, they'll come back to this conversation. We're planting seeds now because, again, you have to look at it through their perspective. It's going to be scary. Look at what is being presented to us on the news and mainstream media, which is their source of information. It's getting more and more crazy because it needs to snap us out of it. If you're watching this and that doesn't make sense, everything we are seeing has already happened. This is a movie being shown to us because there's a dark entity and a dark system that's been operating in our whole lives all around the world. And we've been unaware of it. Good, godly people have been unaware of it. Some people have been born into that bad system and they're doing all they can now to get out of it. If we look at this is a biblical war too, and that word sinner. People are born into sin and they say they're a sinner. That's your past. We've all made mistakes in our past. So from this moment going forward, you can stop. So we don't have to hold on to anything. So this is all about dark and light. It's from dark to light. And we're at the stage now where we're going to go through the darkness. I call it a wave. It's going to be a wave and a flood of truth. We can ride the wave knowing we're in full control. knowing that everything's going to be fine if we stay calm, if we stay present, and if we enjoy the show. Or we can go underneath and get hit with that tidal wave, and it will hit us from every direction. And it's a storm. We're going into a storm, and it's the storm is going to be the reactions of other people. The storm is going to be the reaction of people that have actually been operating in the darkness and they know what is coming. Again, that's all around the world. So, Donald Trump, you're seeing now mainstream media are having to cover everything about him because finally the fake news cannot get away from what is happening in terms of the elections. We got the elections in November. A lot of Trump haters that always been on the Democrats, they have no one. They cannot be honest with themselves and go for Biden and be happy with what's going on in the country. They're hiding from it, they're denying it, dismissing it, and still blaming Trump for certain things. You can't get around it. We're going to get a bit of a surprise thrown in where Michelle Obama is likely to come in and then people will jump on. But again, we don't need to have those conversations. These are something that we can just wait for happen. The conversations, though, these are important because people that we're speaking to, I'm still going to call them good people. They're in fear, they're unconscious. They've been born into this world like we all have. It's still a system where we have had our freedoms taken away from us. And anytime there's a trigger with Trump now, just think questions. So I brought up about 5 points here, and I'm going to show you all the videos, all the documentation, so you can go to any of it. And I'm going to leave the links below in the comment section. But throw it back to them every time. Remember, you don't need to defend it. So if they say anything about Trump, or he's this, he's that, start with a question. What do you think ending all wars is a bad thing? Do you think combating and eradicating human trafficking is bad? Do you think bringing world peace to all the countries is a bad thing? Destroying ISIS and ending the MS-13 gang members, do you think that's bad? And then you can go on to, there's so many other topics which I'll go through, but those on its own, ending all wars, so no wars at all, ending all wars, then bringing world peace. Those two, if you were to say, right, to create a new world, that would be a good foundation. Everyone's getting on, all the neighboring countries, peace, 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 and ending all wars and terrorism and all these gang thugs that literally cause havoc around the world. It's a great place. I mentioned human trafficking. A lot of us are trafficking victims and we don't realize it, but we're going to find out the hard truth. But we're also talking about sex trafficking, child trafficking, ending that. That's one of Trump's main priorities. Is that a bad thing? So already the top three, you can't really argue with any of that. And people will try, the ones that are very unconscious, ego, will try saying things on that. But you just, again, you can back all this up now. But it's interesting, let them speak. Let them go off in different directions. So we're going to start on those 3 points. And for me, it's almost like you can stop them at that point. I let them have their spiel and I say, just look at your reaction to it. So we've just highlighted on these a few points, and you're still saying it's wrong. Can you name anyone else that's done anything like this? Do you think the world's going to be any better? Do you have a solution? There's nothing. It's just a moan. And remember, they're holding on to everything right now. So I'm going to do a share screen. I'm going to go through quite a lot of the different ones. But again, play around with the way that you approach it. Those questions first, and don't have to rush them. There's no rush. Don't have to rush them. But these conversations will happen. I go on X or Twitter, and especially on the stuff when it is Trump's now winning the Republican primaries and stuff, and you go on the comments, and there's so much hate for him still, and it's the MAGA, they're crazy, the white ring conspiracy, insurrectionist, that every word you can think of is repeated behavior. And you'll see anytime now it's a kind of latch on hold together. 5, 6 years ago, someone could have been pro-Trump and spoken out, and you'd have just got absolutely swamped with loads of people because they thought they were a majority. as the world started changing and people seeing what's been going on, there's less and less. So anytime someone moans, someone else jumps in. It's just a common thing. People don't want to feel like they're on their own, and people are unable to stand on their truth. So again, practicing all the time, empowering. And the best way to look at this is a war we're in. And this war has been continued before we were even born. It was already going. This is a generational war. They call it a fifth generational war. It's been in the plan and the making to remove all evil, which is hard to even comprehend, but all evil. Under evil is then corruption. It is all the drug dealers and all the gangs. And then you've got all money laundering. And then you've got all deceivers from every aspect. Like you can imagine, it's a whole spiral. You take out evil, and then you'll see everything else changes. Also, Trump has a game plan. Also, Trump has a proven record when he was president. Also, Trump it knows how to speak to other people, foreign government officials, and big money tycoon people, and like he knows how to handle all of them. Again, peace all around the world, and you'll see Trump actually influenced a lot of that. 2020 was a year that we were all distracted. There was a lot going on in the world, something that we had never experienced before. But whilst that was all happening, which I'll show you today, Trump was doing loads. A lot of us awakened in 2020. Trump come in as president in 2016, and things were already in motion from the start, which I'll go through too. So you've got to think, even from the first 3 years, 4 years, things were already taking place we were unaware of. So people are now waking up just now, or people just finding this information. They've missed 7 whole years leading up to this point. So again, their arguments are based on from old stories, repeated patterns, not even their argument, and they won't be able to back up any of it. And this is once in a lifetime. It's the Great Awakening. So just know that what is waiting for us on the other end is a celebration, first of all. It's going to be a story that will be left there for the rest of humanity to see. We will be able to look back and go, remember that time. And then you'll start taking the personal aspects of what you've had to endure, what you've learned, how you grew. Some of the defining moments was here. So look at it from the bigger perspective. We're still in a war. We've always been in a war. But what are we fighting for? Something magical. So mention all wars first of all, and you can get all this. If you try and argue with any of it, you can go anywhere. You can use Google. You can search any website. I like going on the Trump White House archives because it's all documented, but mention no wars. So if you look what's being done, this is February, just 2020. So Donald Trump invested at least 2.5 trillion in the military over the last 5 years, at least. And military operations have been taking place all around the world. With what is going on at the moment, the US military are in full control. People find that difficult to accept, but you can go and quite clearly see everything's going on. When we get to the peace agreements, you'll see it's military that have to uphold them. They go into the countries and make sure that the leaders and the personnel are adhering to it. So look, we desire peace, cooperation, and a mutual gain with all. But I will never fail to defend America's interests. So here we go. President Trump knows the world needs a strong and a respected America in order to achieve peace. The president has made it a priority to carry out historic rebuilding of our nation's defense, securing nearly 2.2 trillion in funding during the first 3 years in office. This includes 738 billion secured in 2020 alone, so even more than 2.2 trillion. The president is supporting our troops, providing the largest military pay rise in a decade. President Trump worked with Congress to establish the Space Force, which has been the thing that saved us, the NSA. Space Force is internet space, the first new branch in the military since the 40s. Combating terror, so we'll come on to that one as well. Standing up for freedom. He's also had impacts in other countries all around the world. Venezuela, Cuba, Serbia, Kosovo, Hong Kong. There's loads. I'll come on to the peace agreements and pursuing peace. President Trump is working to put a stop to endless wars and make the world a more peaceful and prosperous place for all. So straight away, you ask that question, is creating world peace all around, all over a bad thing? Watch what their reaction is. If they get angry again, just say, look at your reaction. I'm not going to get into this conversation. You're getting angry for good things. This is all good. And then you say to them, tell me, or give me the respect first, or let me show you. Because tell me what is bad about any of this. They won't be able to do it at all. So I'm going to move on, but this is the end of war. So we're coming to the videos as well, because people like to see it and hear it. So when Trump first come in, and this is, remember, fake news, and everyone went at Trump. The world turned and hated him. And a lot of us can put their hands up. We were kind of influenced by that too, until we started seeing what's going on. But future proves past. We can go back and actually have a look what was taking place. And one of the key things, and I love this documentary, The Bonfire Guy, The Great Awakening. It's a must watch, I feel, for anyone, because you can't argue once you see it. A lot of people choose not to go and look at it still, but you can't argue with it. And the key defining part, and some people are unaware that Saudi Arabia were the nation that funded the most terrorism across the world. They're the most evil ones. And when Trump first come in, he did a world tour. And the media were a bit reluctant to comment on it. And again, all hate that we didn't really pay too much attention. However, the first country he went to was Saudi Arabia. And what was key was this. So just watch. And again, you cannot argue with any of this, people. Oh, sorry. Let me just let me share screen so you can hear the music better. There we go. There we go.
Meanwhile, as the Trump-Comey storm grows, the president kicked off his first foreign trip as U.S. leader. He's set to touch down later this Saturday in Saudi Arabia, the first leg of a whirlwind 8-day tour that will take him to Israel.
And then he went to Saudi Arabia first because he needed to. There's a reason he went to Saudi Arabia first.
Let me just skip this little bit here.
Children.
Really don't think he's the right messenger for a message, to bring a message of peace and unity to the Middle East.
Of a pretty stunning moment. Jim was talking about the publicity of this. Well, Saudi King Salman presented that to the president. It's a gold medal. The collar of Abdulaziz Al Saud is what it's called, and it's the nation's highest honor. What is the symbolism there? What is the intention as he gives him that honor? Because already what we are seeing, the grandeur of this welcome, is so different from what we've seen with past presidents.
I mean, most of all, this arrest or detainment of al-Walid.
We're talking about weeks after Trump came and on his visit in July of 2017 to Saudi Arabia. After Trump left, that's when the arrests happened.
Early in November, something happened that many Saudis would have thought unimaginable. From their homes across the country, dozens of the kingdom's richest men, including members of the royal family, were swept up and detained in the gilded cage of Riyadh's Ritz-Carlton Hotel.
Well, his get-out-of-jail card is probably the priciest of them all. They're apparently asking for around $6 billion from him out of an $18.7 billion net worth. So that's a tall price. He apparently is resisting that kind of a fine.
But al-Walid is the one that sort of handpicked Barack Obama as somebody that they could work with.
Faith has always been a guiding force in our...
Nearly 20% of Americans think President Barack Obama is a Muslim. This according to a recent poll by the Pew Research Center.
About 1/5 of Americans are not willing to even accept a man at his word when he says, I'm a Christian.
You are absolutely right that John McCain has not talked about my Muslim faith, and you're absolutely right that that has not come... my Christian faith.
It was this Crown Prince al-Walid of Saudi Arabia that decided to make Obama the one that they were going to turn into this linchpin of U.S. presidents.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God?
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
And Al-Walid was arrested, taken down, and in his place was bin Salman. And bin Salman is somebody who was not okay with what Al-Walid was doing. Now, this is absolutely the truth. What happened the second day? The second day, the Crown Prince and the King both submitted publicly control over Saudi Arabia to Donald J. Trump. And how do you know this? Because they publicly held the sword dance ritual, which is a very, very big deal to the Muslim culture. And only the king holds the sword, who's at the very center, at the top of the podium, and who everyone else is around in support of. Donald Trump is holding the sword. This is Saudi Arabia publicly capitulating, and in one of the photos that we have, it shows the Saudi king, and he looks like he's about to die. He's in so much pain at what's going on here.
So I'm going to leave the link on that one. It's a must watch, but you can see that all these countries were conceding to Trump. Again, it wasn't announced publicly because there's a lot of corrupt people underneath all of these. So the military operation has had to be kept almost hush-hush while they're operating, knowing that the whole emphasis of this is waking up the whole world to the darkness. That can be quite a lot to take in straight away. So I encourage people, watch it first of all before you make judgments. The key part, though, is 3 weeks after Trump left, 11 of the Saudi princes from the royal family arrested, with the highest one, bin Walid, who was the biggest funder of terrorism. And then after this, he had the sword dance. And then one of the key things that one of my favorite talks that Trump did was, at the same weekend, he made all 56 Muslim leader countries, the leaders, come to a talk that he did. And it was all about peace, all about bringing the world together, all about saying, we're not accepting terrorism anymore. Like, I'm in control now. Definitely worth the watch. And again, I'll leave the links on there. So the war. So when you say, do you think war's a bad thing, and people try and argue with it, you can go and look all the facts on there.
The fake news said my personality would get us into a war. I'm telling you, that guy's going to get us into a war. But actually, my personality is what kept us out of war. I was the only president in nearly 4 decades who did not get America into any new conflicts. Instead, I brought our troops and our wonderful children back home. I brought them back home where they belong.
Is that a bad thing? It's ending all wars. So when Trump first come in, another comment that people make, Trump's a racist. If anyone says that, you know that they are so stuck in the past. It's one of the first things that the media come out and said, Trump's a racist. He called Mexicans rapists. But when people start realizing who he was talking about, MS-13 gang members, he called those rapists filthy animals. And the media swang it, which is awful, because these people used to come across the border, rape, kill, abduct, do the most horrendous things. So he explains it here. So you got to think, he's stopping the most evil, the evil. So if you deal with them, think about the world already. It's going to be a better place. You can quite easily go and search the new high-max prisons in El Salvador. Trump's been involved with that. Go and look. El Salvador's now in the top 10 safest countries to be. And that was all MS-13 gang members. So we'll come on to this.
We love our police. We love our sheriffs. And we love our ICE officers. And they have been working hard. Thank you. They have been working hard. Together, we're going to restore safety to our streets and peace to our communities. And we're going to destroy the vile criminal cartel MS-13 and many other gangs. But MS-13 is particularly violent. They don't like shooting people because it's too quick. It's too fast. I was reading one of these animals was caught and explaining they like to knife them and cut them and let them die slowly because that way it's more painful and they enjoy watching that much more. These are animals.
So this is serious stuff. So anyone tries dismissing it, is that a bad thing? That was back a few years ago now. He's stopped all of MS-13. Another big one. I'll show you this one as well. So this was his update. So again, you can go and find all of this stuff.
We're here today to provide an update on my administration's all-out campaign to destroy MS-13, a vile and evil gang of people. We've just concluded a historic operation leading to the arrest and indictment of dozens of savage MS-13 members and leaders all across the country. So this is something that's taken place over the last few days. I want to thank Attorney General Barr for doing a great job in many ways, not just here. Acting Secretary of Homeland Security Wolf and FBI Director Wray for joining us today. And we'll be discussing a little bit about what we did and where we're going. But MS-13 has been a problem for our country for a long time. We've taken them out by the thousands. While radical left-wing politicians have fought to open borders and welfare for illegal aliens, my administration has fought for safe streets. We want security for our people. We want the rule of law. We want law and order. In the last 3 years, ICE has deported over 16,000 gang members and arrested over 2,000 members of MS-13. Think of those numbers, 16,000 and arrested over 2,000 members of MS-13. We've also deported a lot of the MS-13s out of our country. We've done a great job with MS-13, but now we're stepping it up even to a higher level. This has never happened before. There's never been any move like this before. Much of it's already taken place, otherwise we wouldn't be talking about it. So when Biden and the radical left want to open borders for MS-13 and others, we want strong borders. We want, as I've said, we want borders. Without borders, you don't have a country, and we have a great country. And it's coming back stronger than ever, from job numbers to every other number. It's coming back stronger than ever before.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking.
Right, so a key point to pay attention to. So people that have been following the names Barr and Wray, Christopher Wray and Bill Barr. They're both good people. Remember, this movie is about confusing people. It's about leading the evil people that are gatekeepers of information, saying they're bad. They wouldn't be tasked on things like this, so much of importance. And this is another thing for people watching, like to remember all these stats. It's quite difficult when someone's arguing with you. So again, don't need to argue. Say, I'm going to send you a video and I want you to comment on the video. And usually what happens is people try to go off topic. What about this? What about that? And just stay on the one thing. Just say, what was your thoughts on that video? Is that a bad thing? So next, so MS-13, no wars, defeating terrorism. This is terrorism, ISIS.
One of my very first acts was to go to the Pentagon and ask them to produce and show me a plan to defeat ISIS. Under the new approach we developed, we empowered our commanders in the field, enabled our partners on the ground, and directly confronted ISIS's wicked ideology. And we're doing that today, except in even greater numbers. As a result, as I noted in my State of the Union address yesterday, the United States military, our coalition partners, and the Syrian Democratic Forces have liberated virtually all of the territory previously held by ISIS in Syria and Iraq. It should be formally announced sometime, probably next week, that we will have 100% of the caliphate. But I want to wait for the official word. I don't want to say it too early. Over the past 2 years, we have retaken more than 20,000 square miles of land. We have secured one battlefield, and we've had victory after victory after victory and retaken both Mosul and Raqqa. We have eliminated more than 60-mile high-value ISIS leaders, so we have if you look at the ISIS leaders of the 60 top, we've eliminated almost every one of them. Now, they reform, we know that, but they're having a hard time reforming, and I wouldn't say it's a great job to have because of us. It's not exactly, hopefully, will not be a sought-after occupation. More than 100 other top ISIS officials have been eliminated, and tens of thousands of ISIS fighters are gone. They're gone.
They're gone. They're gone. So again, people are going to find this so hard, and they're going to try arguing with it. So get good at this as well. Just stop them. But let's just stop quickly. Just stop quickly. For a world to be in a better place, do you think it's a bad thing that they've done all this? Like, throw it on them. And if they try giving all justification, yeah, but well, who else has done anything like this? We don't see any of this stuff, and no one with any logic can argue with it. They can try, but that's then emotional, and you'll see it from them. So get good at stopping them. No, just stop. Like, you're arguing with me, but I'm showing you good things, and you're attached to this one man, Donald Trump. Let's forget Trump. Let's just look at the military underneath Trump. Then have a look at it. Like, they can't argue with that. So it's going over these more and more, but you can't argue with any of this stuff. The other thing that I forgot to mention on the last one, which was a key thing that he said, most of this is done already. We wouldn't be here talking about it if it wasn't. So when I said at the moment, everything we're being shown now, it's already happened. It's a movie showing us evil. It's a movie educating us on what goes on. It's a movie putting these characters into place. So we go, oh my God, it's that. So people are used to getting information on news and then they panic. Like, it's like in quick time. But the evil was so bad, and they got to work without waiting for us to catch up, because most people are arguing with Trump. So he gets to work on it, and now they have to project it back to us. So again, a key thing that he said, it's already been done. And where we are now, all of that evil stuff has been dealt with. The darkness of what we've got to experience is all here now in normal day people, blending in, working together, corruption at the finest at every level. Like, it's bad, but it's not evil of evil of evil. It's people that you just associate in your life, and you think they love you, they care about you, but in the back of things, they're scamming you. It's going to be tough to handle. So I mentioned the other one, human trafficking. This is why I got into Trump straight away. The 9th executive order that he signed in was to combat and eradicate human trafficking internationally. Number 9 is signed in. So you can't argue with any of this. And when you start finding out that a lot of us have been trafficking victims, labor trafficking, our birth certificate, if you've got a job in the corporate world, you've definitely been moved around, passed on. You've been introduced to people you didn't realize it. You've been advised to take different deals and you've been scammed out. If you design or do intellectual property, so stuff online, your stuff has been siphoned, it's passed off, and someone else is using it across the world and taking it as their own. There's a lot of copycats out there. Opposite of God is an act. The word act, you spell cat. God is dog. Dog is a representation of God. Presence, play, loyalty. And it's the copycats that try to take God's creation and benefit from it and make others suffer from it. So all of these things are in plain sight. So this is the big one for me, human trafficking.
I want to make it clear today that my administration will focus on ending the absolutely horrific practice of human trafficking. And I am prepared to bring the full force and weight of our government to the federal and at the federal level and the other highest levels, whatever we can do in order to solve this horrific problem, getting worse, and it's happening in the United States. in addition to the rest of the world, but it's happening in the United States, which is terrible. Human trafficking is a dire problem, both domestically and internationally, and is one that's made really a challenge, and it's really made possible to a large extent more of a modern phenomenon by what's taking place on the internet, as you probably know. Solving the human trafficking epidemic, which is what it is a priority for my administration. We're going to help out a lot. Solve is a wonderful word, a beautiful word, but I can tell you we're going to help a lot. I'll direct the Department of Justice, the Department of Homeland Security, and other federal agencies that have a role in preventing human trafficking to take a hard look at the resources and personnel that they're currently devoting to this fight. Now, they are devoting a lot, but we're going to be devoting more. Dedicated men and women across the federal government have focused on this for some time. As you know, a lot of you have been dealing with the federal government, and it's been much more focused over the last 4 weeks, I can tell you that. I cannot thank each of you enough, and
I'll leave the links on there, but these are things that you can go and look. So a question, and be honest with you and with yourself. Where was this mentioned on the news? And then you've got to think to yourself, where do you get your information from? Where did we get our information from? The news. They didn't tell us about things like this. So again, our biases are being given to us. It's only when we stop relying on other people and relying religion on things to be put into our existence, we have to go and find it. So there's loads. There's 208 on this website. You type in human trafficking, there's 287 things on it. So I always encourage people, go and look at the things that have been done. This is the best one, though. And again, this was released October 2020. It's the National Action Plan to Combat Human Trafficking. It's a 61-page document. This is the one thing that I've always encouraged everyone to go and read. Most people choose not to. And I started realizing that a lot of people within the truth movement are involved in trafficking. Drug, sex, child, money laundering. It's a whole operation. It's a whole deep state system. And this explains so much on there. And again, if you look at the numbers of different things, you'll get the full truth there. And there's loads. Like, if you go to the bottom of certain pages, which I'll show you, and I've paid attention, you can see all the different organizations involved. There's loads of different links, and you can get loads of facts, like the real stuff, because we're throwing out loads of numbers and a lot of them are well off. Here you can be confident. So this was 2020 October, so think about that. It was just before the 2020 elections. He's doing that whilst it was COVID, and it's so powerful. There's also an 8-page summary document, and there's also a 1-page summary document. Again, I'll leave all the links on there. You can see I've got a whole Trump list of links on here, because again, I've been defending Trump, which I shouldn't need to, but over the years, and you can back it up with real evidence. Another thing is, when people try to argue, this is the other thing. Trump, on all these talks, he's always the same camera, the same lens, and it's always, when he comes back, what he's going to do. But this one's the most important one. He's taking action. And is this a bad thing?
Trafficking Victims Prevention and Protection Reauthorization Act, authorizing $430 million to fight sex and labor trafficking. I signed legislation to crack down on foreign countries who are not meeting standards for eliminating trafficking, of which there are many. I also signed into law the Abolish Human Trafficking Act, which strengthened programs supporting survivors and provided more resources for ending modern slavery. We do have modern slavery, if you can believe it. Additionally, I created the first ever White House position focused solely on combating human trafficking. And perhaps most importantly, we created the most secure border in U.S. history by far, dealing a major blow to the cartels and traffickers. We built hundreds of miles of wall. We renovated hundreds of miles of wall. We never had anything like it.
And then I got Mexico free of charge to give us 28,000 soldiers to protect us from people coming into our country illegally. When I am back in the White House, I will immediately end the Biden border nightmare that traffickers are using to exploit vulnerable women and children. We will fully secure the border. I will wage war on the cartels just as I destroyed the ISIS caliphate, 100% gone, 100% destroyed. They'll come back now because we have a weak administration. I will use Title 42 to end the child trafficking crisis by returning all trafficked children to their families in their home countries and without delay.
This bit.
And I will urge Congress to ensure that anyone caught trafficking children across our border receives the death penalty immediately, and that includes also for women, because women, as you know, are number one in trafficking. Children are actually number two.
So women are number one, children number two. That's a big statement, but the death penalty. Think about human trafficking for kids on its own. It's sick, it's disgusting. It's modern day slavery, like you said. They've done all that, but also the solution and putting the punishment as the death penalty. And in one of his other speeches, he says, we're going to call the death penalty for drug traffickers and human traffickers. And in one day, crime will go down by 75%. Because if you look at crime, that's at the very top, but that crime funds all other crimes, 75% in one day. They're watching all of this and they've dealt with a lot of it, but again, we're being presented to it. He talked about the border, which is a key thing that we're seeing at the moment as well. See, there's no arguments already, and I'm going to keep going. So this is a good one. Terrorists lose and peace wins. It's hard to believe just 5 years ago, again, this is 2020, America's watched in horror as ISIS gained power and territory throughout the Middle East, and terrorists killed 14 Americans on US soil in San Bernardino, California. Today, ISIS caliphate is destroyed. Terrorist leaders Abu Bagh al-Baghdadi and Qasem Soleimani are dead. And instead of sending American troops to fight in endless wars or giving cash to terrorist sponsors in Iran, the United States securing peace deals with allies in the Middle East, including Israel. President Trump was the first American leader since Ronald Reagan not to start a war. And I'm going to come on to the peace deals now because the peace deals haven't been mentioned at all. But this is key. So when you see all these wars going on, the peace deal's already been done. And for a peace deal to take place, it means the military are already there. So again, we're being shown all the crazy stuff because the solution needs to come after. If people still argue with Trump, and especially if you're American, you say, well, who are you voting for then? Oh, no, I'm not voting. I'm not doing it. Well, who do you suggest is going to help this well? Who are you going to change? They won't be able to do it. Okay, so you're arguing with all this, but you can't suggest anyone. But I'm showing you all these things are being done. And again, leave it. It's planting seeds. It's going to hurt people so much. We don't have to poke their buttons. We're just producing facts. So this is what people don't realize. And I remember when these started happening, it was like, this is big. So in 2020, think about, again, what was going on. Donald Trump was in control of Israel, and they signed peace agreements with Morocco, Sudan, Bahrain, and UAE. Trump orchestrated all of that. He orchestrated the peace agreement and treaty with North Korea, South Korea, and that peninsula. He also was involved with the normalization of Hong Kong, normalization of Venezuela. He also was involved with the peace agreement and normalization between Serbia and Kosovo. This is massive. So look, I'll show you. Israel, UAE, Bahrain, they signed a deal. You can go watch any of these videos. Israel and Morocco agreed to full diplomatic relations, says Trump. Think about it. If Trump's not in control, how would he influence other countries' decisions for peace? Israel, Morocco, but Trump set it up. Israel, UAE, Israel, Bahrain. It's Trump. Look, next one. Sudan-Israel relationships agreed. Donald Trump announces. President Trump, and this is the DOJ. President Trump issues executive order on Hong Kong normalization. Trump's Kosovo-Serbia normalization deal is all about Israel. All of these things you can get, all 2020 people. Trump signs proclamation commemorating end of Korean War. July 2020. The South Korean president actually said Trump needs a Nobel Peace Prize for everything he's done. This was another one on his wars.
4 straight years under the Trump administration, I kept America safe. I kept Israel safe. I kept Ukraine safe. And I kept the world safe. Israel, Ukraine would have never happened under the Trump administration. There was no chance it would have happened because we're close to having no country at all. And we're also close to being in World War III, a war that you've never even conceived or thought about. But we're very close. You know, they have a hat. I saw it the other day. It said Trump was right about everything. And I said, well, that's a big statement. And then you think about it, and I sort of was right about everything. Before.
Again, oh, he's being big-headed. No, he was right about everything. And I showed you this clip, and it didn't have the bit that I want you to see, but he said it over 50 times. I can end these wars in 24 hours. So whether you like it or not, whether you disagree or not, it's going to look like we're heading into World War III. It's going to get real at some point leading up this year. Donald Trump will be the man to step in. He's the only man to be able to do it, and he will end it all. But we have to go through that. It's to snap a lot of people out, especially if you're getting triggered. If you're staying on watching this and you've been triggered, I'm saying thank you. Well done. For the people that are following this is good to re-go over. But this is just important that we have this at our disposal at any time, because it could be even strangers. Any little conversation, for me, even beyond Trump and that, just think about all the positives I've showed you already. The world is heading into the most amazing place. And all of the things that have been done. A lot of people say, no, there's no way you could end evil. No, it's too corrupt, this world. No, because it's only the world that they know. But this has already been going on for 7 years since Trump first said, I'm going to step in as president. It's been almost 4 years since his supposed Biden won. But all things have been happening. It's not like Biden come in, like military, there's the keys. Now it's projecting to us. It's also advertising to the evil people, oh, we're back in control again. If you look at the border crisis that we're being told, it really attracted all the human traffickers from all the Central American countries, all Mexico, to, right, we're going to ramp it up. If you look at the National Guard on the border, if you listen to what Trump said, 28,000 soldiers were given free, occupy the border, military at the border, they just capture them all. So when all these illegals are coming in, they're being dealt with. Again, it's a projection for people that still don't know what's going on, because this shit did happen. This would be the last thing though. So you're seeing Israel in the news at the moment, and Gaza, and all these different things taking place. Again, we're removing evil out of the world, and there's evil in every country. For the news and what they're projecting to us is like a battle between Palestine and Israel. Trump has already sorted this too. However, this is the thing that the world are actually really going to pay attention to. It's like the final thumbprint, big thumbs up, the big approval for the whole world. And this was a really good talk, but this is a little clip from it. Again, Trump is always right.
Forging peace between Israelis and Palestinians may be the most difficult challenge of all. All prior administrations, from President Lyndon Johnson, have tried and bitterly failed. But I was not elected to do small things or shy away from big problems.
I was not elected to do small things or shy away from big problems. Means he's already done it. It's just waiting, perfect timing, divine timing. Here's another thing to pay attention to. I'm just going to skip through just a few more, but people want to know facts. So this is as of January 2021. So just as he was stepping out of office, and you had the January 6th insurrection. But this was the list of his accomplishments. I encourage people to go on it, because there's everything on there, like literally everything. Fair trade deals, the sanctions on countries, energy independence, which is huge. You can try argue with it, but it benefits the world. Start thinking bigger. Investing in workers and families, the amount he put in farmers, the way that he dealt with COVID 2020. There's literally loads and loads, but I've picked a few out because some of the comments still from these angry people, he's a sexist. Okay, well, look what he did for the women then. advance women's economic empowerment, including women's empowerment for the first time in the president's 2017 National Security Strategy. Signed into law key pieces of legislation, including the Women, Peace and Security Act and the Women Entrepreneurship and Economic Empowerment Act, launched the Women's Global Development and Prosperity Initiative, the first ever whole of a government approach to women's economic empowerment that reached 24 million worldwide. Established an initiative new WGDP fund at USAID, launched the Women's Entrepreneurs Finance Initiative with 13 other nations, announced a 50 million donation on behalf of the United States to WeFi, providing more capital women-owned businesses around the world, released the first ever strategy on women, peace and security, which focused on increasing women's participation to prevent and resolve conflicts, launched the WGDP ×2 Global Women's Initiative with the Development Finance Corporation, which has mobilized more than 3 billion in private sector investments for 3 years. That was big. He's a racist. Okay. Prioritize support for historically black colleges and universities. And it's a really good talk if you type in that one. It's brilliant, actually. Look, all the people there, and it's the energy and the buzz, and they're happy that someone's doing something for them. It's brilliant. So move the Federal History Black Colleges and Universities Initiative back to the White House. He signed into law the Future Act, making permanent $255 million in annual funding for HBCUs and increasing funding for the federal Pell Grant program. Signed legislation that included more than $100 million for scholarships, research, and centers of excellence at HBCU land grant institutions. Fully forgave $322 million in disaster loans for 4 HBCUs in 2018 so they could fully focus on educating their students, enabled faith-based HBCUs to enjoy equal access to federal support. HBCUs is historically black colleges, universities. That's big. That's big. So he's a sexist, he's a racist, but he's done more than anyone else has, more than even Obama has. And you can look at the foreign policy, like there's loads, people, there's loads. I'm going to keep going. So another thing that he did in 2020, which people didn't wear, he slashed in half instantly all drug prices for Big Pharma. Slashed it in half. And they went mental. But this is just a quick clip.
Today I'm taking a bold and historic, very dramatic action to reduce the price of prescription drugs for American patients and American seniors. Previous administrations did nothing, absolutely nothing, as drug lobbyists, special interests, and foreign countries freely ripped off our citizens. Therefore, today I'm signing 4 sweeping executive orders that will lead to massive reduction in drug costs. Massive. The 4 orders I'm signing today will completely restructure the prescription drug market in terms of pricing and everything else to make these medications affordable and accessible for all Americans. For decades, our citizens have paid the highest prices for drugs, prescription drugs, anywhere in the world, and it's not even close. But under my administration, we're standing up to the lobbyists and special interests and fighting back against a rigged system.
Please tell me at what point of any of this is bad. Try to find me one thing that's bad. I don't like his personality. Okay, maybe you have a few issues that you should work on then. Forget his personality, think about the world. Take Trump out of it, you're never going to meet him because your energy is not right. You're never going to meet him. You're still going to meet the world in front of you and everyone that it's going to influence. Think about happier people in the world. It means you're going to be happier too. And here's another one. Like, I left this one to last because we're seeing the nonsense which no one can even try to defend at all. I'll play the 25 seconds.
Here's my plan to stop the chemical, physical, and emotional mutilation of our youth. On day 1, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. A process that includes giving kids puberty blockers, mutating their physical appearance, and ultimately performing surgery on minor children. Can you believe this? I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. I will then ask Congress to permanently stop federal taxpayer dollars from being used to promote or pay for these procedures and pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. It'll go very quickly.
So that's 50 seconds. Again, not argue with any of that. You're deranged if you do argue with that. And a lot of these deranged people are not around our kids anymore. They've been dealt with. So all these videos where he's dressed like this with that camera, it tells you what he's going to do. It's already in place. So the moment it goes, straight away, it's not like we have to wait to rebuild. All of this is in place, all the personnel ready to go. It just needs us to pay attention to what has gone on first. The reason why, and it's really important for us to see it all, we need to see everything that we weren't aware of. And a lot of these topics don't really come into some of our lives at all. In the whole of our lifetime, we might not even be involved with certain stuff. However, it impacts the whole world. So the more awareness we have of the whole world, the more connected we are. But going beyond that, this new world we're heading into, we want to keep it. It's the kingdom of heaven is going to be here. It is here. But we're going to be stepping into it, living lives of freedom, of creation, of inspiration. We're going to really start finding who we are and why we're here without all the other worries and stresses. Think about family, how close we are. We're going to build a life together. It's magical. And Trump's been a big, big part of that. So I do stand on it when people argue with Trump, and I have done for the last few years. Now I don't get into arguments at all. I just present facts. I just challenge them. I work on myself, how I get better. And it's perfect because it is the same arguments repeated. It is the same triggers. It's the same angers. But it's all personal to them. And the more you can get used to someone getting angry and going name calling, and it doesn't impact you at all. Certain things will trigger you. Certain things you might hold on. You go, oh, they really meant that. Well, I have had all horrible things over the years. 2020 was some nasty stuff. I was very vocal on Trump. But I realized they're unconscious. They don't know, or they're on the wrong side. It's irrelevant after a while, but if you can get used to strangers and people saying all that stuff now, there's only one person has to change. It'll be them. You're changing throughout this whole process. So we're on a stage now where this is the Trump train, and it's now getting on that Trump train and riding that wave, the red wave. And the momentum is already started with the wins. We're now seeing things take place. We're now seeing mainstream media go ridiculous and trying to find any way to blame Trump. But again, that's just to wake up the people that are triggered by it. But beyond that, it is to then start seeing all the evil stuff being shown to us, but what has been done about it. But that brings us together. That then gets a place where we are going to celebrate. And it is going to be a moment in our story, his story, the story, the Great Awakening. And for me, that is more magical than anything else. And we're always going to look back to this part. We're always going to use this part for our inspiration building going forward. And I really challenge people, try to think like when you look back at your life, like what did you do during this time? And remember, we're still in this time. So going from this moment, what did you do? Imagine your kids asking you, Mum, Dad, what did you do during the war? That's what it's going to be labeled as. You now have a story of even more to be able to share with them. Their grandkids. It's going to be passed on. So for me, it's set in stone now. Work on ourselves, connect with others, learn what is going on, let go of our attachments, and then be there as the shining light to help good souls, lost souls, awaken to their truth and awaken to what is waiting for us. And it is all here now, people. It's going to be magical. I said that word so many times, but that is how I feel. It is magical. So I'm hoping you've enjoyed this. Again, I'll leave all the links below. Please do leave a comment. And on YouTube now, I've set up a new soul coaching membership. It's £9.99 a month. It's called the meditation membership. So there'll be weekly live meditations. If you go on my channel, there is a live There is the meditations that I post on, loads of experiences. I encourage people, this is a time to start doing them. It's where you really work on yourself. And in that will be a group chat, and you will have access to ask questions, but it is all about developing. It is all about connecting with other people, like-minded people, people that are on the journey. And you'll see there's different membership options, but just as a support. This has been a challenge for me throughout as well, because you got to think my whole world was coaching, soul coaching. I had a community and stuff before, but speaking about Trump, trying to get business partnerships and things like that, and oh, he's a Trump. It's been challenging on that side. However, it's really helping people connect all the dots first of all with the outside world to see that actually that is being taken care of, which then allows us to turn inwards, and this is where the soul coaching comes in. So it is going to be a powerful community, and I have had, I've got another bit on there where I'll be doing soul coaching sessions. So if people actually want coaching in there, join in the community, get involved with it, and there's lots and lots of teachings. On the YouTube channel, I've still got my Soul Revive courses, the Revive, the Foundation, and the Revive, the Expansion. It's just daily, 25 minutes a day. Get used to turning up each day consistently for you, and you're going to learn loads about yourself. And the more we start turning up consistently, like the sun, it shows up every day, you're going to see you grow. You're going to learn more about you. You're going to see there's a lot more about us as spiritual beings having this human experience. And beyond all of this, and it's that word God, it's going to connect you to God. It's going to connect you with God. It's going to make you realize that you are God. God is within you. And this is where I am now in my life. It's a knowing. I've had so many confirmations. It is moments where you cannot put it into words. It's just my experience that I've had. And the meditations is the way that I can be able to share that space and kind of put it into most simple words. God is simple. God is truth. Truth is love. Love is God. It's all the same thing. And soul coach, the soul is the Son of God. And the Son, to be with the Father, has to let go of the flesh. It has to raise up in consciousness, Christ consciousness. So when we are aware, when we are conscious, we are one with God anyway. God and the soul and God. So people, thank you as always. If you're watching this, please leave comments below. Any links, I'll put them on there. And if anything else that you'd like to know, again, just ask the questions and I will get back to you. So have a good one, people, and I'll see you all very soon.